We're holding here on Daf Yud Dalet Amud Aleph, the first side of the page. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines down, and we are 3 words from the end of that line. We've been speaking about, up until this point, the different places that a person is allowed to make a break in their Shema. We said bein haprakim, between the paragraphs. If it's for kavod, it's for honor. If it's out of yir, out of fear, even be'ems, even within the middle of in the words that a person is saying. So the Gemara has another question. So a person by the name of Eichi asked, so Eichi was the one who would learn over the brises of Rabbi Chia, and he asked Rabbi Chia the following question: B'halel u'b'megillah mahu. What about when a person is in the middle of saying Hallel, or in the middle of laning the Megillah on Purim? Sheyafsik, are you allowed to be mafsik? Are you allowed to stop over there? If a person would come and they would say to you, Shalom Aleichem, or there's an honorable person coming, walking your way, are you allowed to stop in the middle of Hallel, or in the middle of the Megillah, and say Shalom back to them? So, Kav v'chaymer. So the Gemara, Amrinan Kav v'chaymer, we want to answer with a Kav v'chaymer, with a way in which we're going to say, if that's true, then this also must be true. Which is what? Kriya Shema deraisa paisek. Kriya Shema, reading the Shema, we know is deraisa. It's a Torah obligation, as we said before. And over there, you're allowed to be paisek. You're allowed to stop to answer someone and say hello, or to say hello to them. So Halil derabanan mi boy. So Halil, which is only midrabanan, it's only a rabbinical obligation that a person has. There you need to teach me that you're asking such a question. Are you allowed to be mafsik? Are you not allowed to be mafsik? Should be obvious that you're allowed to stop. It's only derabanan. Or maybe we'll tell you, says the Gemara, Pirsuminisa Adif, that since that the Megillah and really Halil we'll see by the Yom Tov, by Pesach and so on, is Pirsuminisa is coming to publicize the miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did for Klal Yisrael. So we would say Adif, maybe it's better, and therefore I would think that there's a reason. That you're not going to be allowed to be mafsik. You're not going to be allowed to stop in the middle of while you are being mefarsim the nes, that you are publicizing the miracle. So Amalei. So Rav Chia said back to him, no, paisik ve'ein bekach klum. You could stop in the middle of the Megillah, you could stop in the middle of Hallel, ve'ein bekach klum. You don't have to worry about it, you did nothing wrong. Okay, Amar Rabba said, Yomim, shayachid goymer ben asahal. Now we want to know, where exactly are you allowed to stop in the Hallel? So Amar Rabba the following, Yomim shayachid goymer ben asahal, on days in which even a yachid, an individual, who's praying by himself, he would say the complete Hallel. You'll remember when you look inside of your siddur that we see over there, the siddur has a Hallel that's complete, and there's a Hallel that is incomplete. Meaning on Rosh Chodesh we leave out, and on the Chol Hamoed days of Pesach and the last days of Yom Tov of Pesach, we don't say all of the Tehillims that are there inside of Hallel. So you have a Hallel that a person is goyim that he completes. That's the Hallel of Yom Tov, that's the Hallel of all of Sukkot, that's the Hallel of all of Chanukah, that's the Hallel that a person completes the Hallel. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabba, Yomim sheyachid goymer ben asahal, on the days in which even in an individual who is praying by himself would say the entire Hallel, bein perek leperek paisik, between one chapter and the other chapter, I mean between one Tehillim and the other Tehillim, you could stop to say hello, or you could ask somebody, how are you doing? However, be'emtza perek, but if it's in the middle of the perek, if it's in the middle of the Tehillim that you're saying, ain't no paisik, there you're not allowed to stop. This is only for shalom. This is only if you're going to ask hello, how are you, or for an honorable person. But when it comes to yira, when it comes that you're afraid the guy's going to kill you, so then the Mefarshim say over here that goes without saying, you're allowed to stop.
All is considered one bracha. So
okay, that's fine. But we learned even yesterday that even within the Kriya Shema itself, even within this Kriya Shema itself, a person's going to be allowed to make a break. So over here, once that you're going from one parak to the other parak, it's no worse, the Gemara is saying over here, than the Kriya Shema itself. even though you're right that there is a bracha in the beginning, but we make a bracha in the beginning, and there is a bracha that we make at the end, and in between is the statements of Hallel. So in the midst of the bracha itself, you would not be able to answer, but when you're going from parak to parak, from one Tehillim to the other, you would be able to answer. Says the Gemara. So the Gemara says over there, if it's the days that they're goyim, that they finish, so then we say from between one chapter to the next, you're allowed to. And be'emsa perek eino pesach v'yomim she'ena yachid goyim ben. On the days in which a person is not going to complete the Hallel, which means like Rosh Chodesh, or the intermediate, or the Chol Hamoed of Pesach, in the last days of Pesach, where we don't say all of the Tehillim that is there in Hallel, then even in the middle of the parak, even in the middle of the verses over there, you're allowed to stop, and if it's an honorable person that is coming your way, you're allowed to say Shalom Aleichem to them, and if they were coming your way, you could answer them, or you could even ask them. V'hai Rav Bar Shaba Ikla L'Gabei de Ravina. But we find a story, says the Gemara, that Rav Bar Shaba came to visit Ravina, and these were days in which we don't finish the Hallel. Okay, they're days, meaning let's say it was Rosh Chodesh, and Rav Bar Shaba comes before Ravina, and Ravina is in the middle of saying Hallel. So but it was days she'ayachid goyim ein ayachid goyim es Hallel hava. It was a day of Rosh Chodesh, they're not finishing the complete Hallel. So v'loi pasikle, and Ravina has this very honorable person, Rav Bar Shaba, standing in front of him, and he doesn't stop to say hello. So this seems like a steer, like a contradiction to what we just said. If you're in the middle of saying Hallel, if it's one of the days that you don't complete Hallel completely, so then if an honorable person would come your way, you stop and you say hello. So how come Ravina walks over? How come Rav Bar Shaba walks over to Ravina and Ravina doesn't stop? So the Gemara says, "Shiny Rav Bar Shaba." The story, different case with Rav Bar Shaba. The lechoshev alei de Ravina. Ravina did not think that he was so choshev. He didn't think he was such a great person, and therefore he didn't stop in the midst of his Hallel to say it. Okay, boy minei. The Gemara asked now another case, similarly related to what we just said before, because just before we had a question, and in the end of that question we say in Bekach Klum, no, it's not a big deal. You do it like this, it's not a problem. So you have another case, not related in halacha, but the idea is a similar idea, as we'll see. Boy minei Ashan taught us Rabbi Ami, who learned the brises of Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Ami, he asked Rabbi Ami the following. Interesting case. Hashroi betainis mahu. If a person is fasting, what is the din? What is the halacha? Is he allowed to taste food to make sure that it tastes okay? It's Friday afternoon. He's in a fast, and the food is cooking, and he wants to make sure, in the midst of the taste of food on Erev Shabbos, he wants to make sure that there's enough salt in the cholent before Shabbos. So the Gemara asks the question, is he allowed to taste that food or not? He's fasting. So the Gemara says, Achilu ushasiya kivalale v'haleka. So this person accepted upon himself eating and drinking. That's what it means to fast. I fast, and I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to drink. And here, v'haleka, he's not eating and drinking, he's just tasting. So therefore, there should be no problem. Or do we say, Hana kibalale, he accepted upon himself that he's not going to derive any pleasure from any food. Va'iken, over here, once you put the food into your mouth already, there's pleasure. So maybe he wouldn't be allowed to. So what's the answer? So Amalei. So he said back, Toyim, the Ein Bekach Klum, let him taste and doesn't have to worry about it. Because since that he's merely just putting the food in his mouth to see if the flavor is okay, and he's going to spit it out right away, so he's really getting no real pleasure from such a thing, and let him spit it right out. And therefore, Ein Bekach Klum, no problem. Ad Kama, Rev Ami, Rabbi Asi, Taime, I'm sorry, I skipped. Tanya Nami Hach, we learned also in the Brisa, Meta'emes Eina Tu'una Bracha, someone that is merely tasting food, and then they're going to spit it out afterwards, Eina tu'una bracha. They don't even need to make a bracha, a blessing. Normally we say that whenever you're going to derive benefit from something in this world, when it comes to taste, you have to make a bracha on it. That's only if you're really planning on eating it. But if you're not planning on eating the food, you're merely just putting it in your mouth for the taste, and then you're going to disregard it. You're going to spit it out. Says the Gemara, you don't even have to make a bracha, and that's a proof that we're trying to bring over here to Rav Ami. That if you're fasting and you want to taste the food and you're going to spit it out, then there's no problem. You did not transgress your fast. So therefore, Vashrei b'tainis. So someone who's fasting, let them taste. And there's no problem with that at all. So ad kama. So lemaisa, how much are you allowed to taste on a fast day before you're going to before spitting it out? So Rav Ami, Rav Asi, taime ad shir revi'asa. They said you can actually take a whole revi'us of food, which is quite a bit. Mm-hmm. It's the minimal amount of a revi'us is 2.9 ounces. According to the Chazon Ish, you're talking about 5 ounces. So you can actually put somewhere between 3 and 5 ounces of food into your mouth, as long as the intention is only just to taste it, to see if it's good, but you intend to spit it out. So the Mefarshim point out over here, just be careful when you put that much food into your mouth. It is very hard to make sure that you're going to spit it out right away. And therefore, I think that you'll find that anyone that is tasting food on a tinus of that nature, they're putting a very little amount just to make sure that it has the taste and the flavor they're looking for. Amar Rav, anyone who says shalom to their friend before they daven, okay, you didn't get to davening yet. You walk in the shul, and there's the guy standing at the door and say, "Hey, shalom aleichem, how are you? Very nice. You're such derech eretz, good midos. It's a very nice thing for a person to do." However, the Gemara says anyone who says shalom to his friend before they daven, kilo asu bama. It says if they made a bama is a mizbeach, an altar that was outside of the Beis Hamikdash, outside of the Mishkan, which we find that the Jewish people in general were not allowed to do. It was like a foreign service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when you say shalom to a friend before you daven, so you're in great company over here with the person who builds altars outside the Beis Hamikdash and is punished accordingly. Shenemar, like it says in the pasuk, chadlu lechem mina adam asher neshama b'apo. You should remove yourself from this man who has an neshama be'apav in his nostrils. Ki bameh nechshav. What are you being machshav him for? Why is he deemed to be so worthy over here? Now, unusual verse. You should stay away from a person because he has a neshama. What is he so? Why is he redeemed? Why is he deemed so worthy? So the Gemara says, how do you read this pasuk? So it says, al tikre bameh. Don't read it with what is he deemed worthy of. Ela bama. Rather, it means if you give credence to a human being, before you come and you serve HaKadosh Baruch in the morning, and you say hello to Hashem. Why are you coming to shul? What's the mitzvah of tefillah? We're coming and we're saying good morning to the Rebbeinu Shalom, and we're davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we are greeting Hashem. So if you put a human being in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so says the Gemara, that's like a bama. That is like bringing this. That's having like this variant altar, and it's not a good thing.
You're supposed to ignore someone if you see them on the way to shul.
Okay, very good. Let's see what the Gemara says. Very good question. So the Gemara says, Ushmul Amar. Shmuel says, I don't need the whole drasha of a bameh, bama. It's very simple in the verse itself. Shmuel Amar, bameh chashavtei lezeh v'lo lelakav. So Shmuel says, the verse is very simple. It's simple. Why are you giving chashivas? Why are you giving importance and attention to this person before you give attention to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And that's the Gemara saying over here. A person who is coming to speak to the Rebbeinu Shalom, as Rashi says over here, when you should be involving yourself in the honor of Hashem, don't start giving honor to people. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our job in the morning is give honor to Hashem. Now, Masiv Rav Sheshes asked the following question: I beprokim shoyel mibnei hakavod umeishiv. We saw over there previously that what? If you're in the middle of saying Shema, and somebody walks over to you, bein haprokim, let's say in the middle of the paragraphs, and they say, Shalom Aleichem. Yeah. So you're allowed to answer back, Aleichem Hashalom, nice to see you. An honorable person walks over to you, and you're in the middle of Shema, and you look over, Shalom Aleichem, how are you? So what do we see over there? It's Shema. You did not yet daven Shema Esrei, and the Gemara is saying over there that you're allowed to say hello to a person. And our Gemara just said that before you daven tefillah, before you daven the Shemona Esrei, if you say shalom to somebody, so it's like you built a bama, it's like you built this variant of this altar, or that you were machshav, you gave chashivas to a person instead of giving chashivas to Hashem. So how could it be over here that the Gemara itself said specifically that you are allowed to say shalom before you daven the Shemona Esrei? So Tirgum Reb Abba, so Reb Abba says b'mashkim lepischei. So Reb Abba says. It's talking about a case b'mashkim lepischei, which means when do we say that you are not allowed to go and say hello to somebody? That's when you go out of your way to say hello to the person. Don't go to the guy's house, wait for him by the door, and when he opens the door to walk to shul, hey, Shalom Aleichem, how are you? That you're not allowed to do. However, as Rashi writes, aval pagu b'derech, but if you're walking to shul in the morning and you see the guy, so you don't have to go like this, you say, Shalom, how are you? You're allowed to greet the person. So the greeting is when you're going out of your way, which makes it look like that you are purposely saying hello to somebody before you're saying hello to Hashem. But if you're walking down the road, you have to be a mensch, says the Gemara, and you'd be allowed to say hello to that person. Okay, Rashi leaves out the parentheses, so we'll leave them out as well. Amar Rav Idi bar Avin, Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Ashyan, a person is not allowed to get involved with his own matters before he davens. And from here the poskim learn out many different things about what exactly it is that a person is allowed to do, business dealings, exercise, all different things that a person should not be involved in other things before they go to daven. Shenema, like it says, tzedek lefanav yahalich, the righteousness will go before, righteousness goes before him, v'yasim l'derech pa'amav, and then he places his feet on the road. So that means, what's tzedek? Says Rashi, tefillah, shematztiko l'bayroi. When a person davens, it's matzdik him, it makes him look good in the eyes of Hashem. It puts him as a righteous perception in the eyes of Hashem. V'hadar, and after he makes himself look good to Hashem, v'yasim pa'amav l'darchi chafatzav, then he can place his feet on the road and go take care of his business, what he has to do. V'amar Rav Idi bar Abin, Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Ashyan, kol hamispalel. And now the opposite is true. Kol hamispalel, anyone who davens first. V'achar kach yoytze l'derech, and then he goes on his way. HaKadosh Baruch Hu oiseh lo chafetzav. Hashem then is going to take care of all of his dealings. Shenemar, like it says, tzedek lefanav yahalich, righteousness goes before Hashem. V'yasam l'derech ba'amav, and then you go on your way. Who's going to help you out in that says the Gemara? Hashem himself is the one that is going to help you out in that case. Okay. Am Rabbi Yoina, Am Rabbi Zera, Kol Halon, Shivas Yomim Beloy Cholim. Anyone who sleeps 7 days without a dream doesn't mean that you slept 7 days straight. We're not talking about a college guy over here. Yeah, anyone who sleeps and wakes up and he goes back to sleep for 7 days in a row and he does not have a dream, Nikra Ra, that's called evil. That's called bad. Now, why is it that a dream is such a good thing? Because a dream shows that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching over you. He'll send you some messages in your dream. He's involved in your life. If a person goes 7 days without a dream, that means it's as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu just turned himself away from you. So it's not very good. Shenemar, how do we know this? Because it says in the pasuk, V'saveya yolin bal yipaked ra. It says that this person is going to be saveh, he's going to be satisfied, and he will not be visited by evil. Al tukis saveya, don't read it as saveya that he is satisfied, el sheva, rather sheva, which means that if, so you have to change the way you read the verse, that if he will go 7 days without being visited by Hashem, then kama ra, that is going to be considered to be bad. Amalei Rav Acha berei the Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Hachi Am Rabbi Chia Am Rabbi Yochanan, Kol hamazbiya atzma midivrei Torah. Anyone who satisfies themselves with the words of Torah, he fills himself up with words of Torah, Velon, and he goes to sleep, Ein mevaser noisei besoros rois. He's not going to have any bad tidings that are going to come to him. Shenemar, like it says, v'saveya yolin ba yipaked ra. Someone who is satiated with the Torah, and then yolin, he goes to sleep. Bal yipaked ra, he's not going to be visited by any bad. So learning Torah is a very good thing for sweet dreams. Elohein bein haprokim. Now, is there a sitter around here by any chance? Says the Gemara, thank you. Says the Gemara, now we have to figure out what exactly is the things that we consider to be bein haprokim, as we mentioned previously in the Mishnah and the Gemara. What is considered to be in between the paragraphs of the brachas and the Shema and the Shema itself? So the Gemara says like this: Am Rabbi Avahu. I'm sorry, Eilein haprokim. These are the ones that are in between. Am Rabbi Avahu, Am Rabbi Yochanan, halacha kaRabbi Yehuda. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, the Omar, who said, "Bein Elokeichem leemes v'yatziv lo yafsik." So if you look in your siddur, if you have one, I have one over here, at the very end of the Shema, in the morning time, so we know that it says, "Ani Hashem Elokeichem," I am Hashem your God, emes v'yatziv. All right, it's the emes is not part of the pasuk of the Shema. It's emes v'yatziv is really the next thing. So says the Gemara, between Elokeichem and emes v'yatziv lo yafsik, a person should not make a break over there. Amar Rabbi Abahu, and Rabbi Abahu says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, my time made the Rabbi Yehuda. Why does Rabbi Yehuda hold that there's a problem making a break between emes and between Elokeichem and emes v'yatziv? Why can't you say hello to a person at that time? So he says, the chsiv, turning the page, says, Hashem Elokim emes. There's a pasuk in Yirmiyahu Navi, Jeremiah the prophet, that says Hashem Elokim emes. Hashem Elokim, our God, is emes, is true. And just like over there, Elokim and emes is connected to each other. So therefore, at the end of the Shema, when you are saying Elokeichem, which is Elokim, and the next word is emes, so we want to be in line with what it says over here in this pasuk. We're not going to have a break between Elokim and emes. Chayzer va'omer emes. Does a person go back and say the word emes, truth, again? Or they don't go back and say truth once again? Which means, as we see over here in our siddur, we say, Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes, Hashem Elokeichem emes. But would a person say, if they did for some reason make a break, and they said, Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes, and before they got to V'yatziv, they had some kind of a pause, somebody came over to them, whatever it might have been, would you say the words emes, truth, again? Says the Gemara, Am Rabbi Avo, Am Rabbi Yochanan, Chayzer v'omer emes. You actually do go back, and you would say emes again. Rabba Omar Eino Chayzer v'omer emes. No, you do not go back, and you do not say truth more than once, because there's only one truth. There's only Hashem. You don't say truth twice. So Ahud the Nachis Kamei the Rabba Shamei Rabba. The Amar emes. So there was a case where Rabba was in a minyan, and about tefillah, a guy came to daven and lead the davening, and at the end of the davening, at the end of the Shema over here, he said emes. He said emes twice, trei zimna twice. So Amar Rabba, so Rabba said, Kol emes tasei lahoy. This guy is getting swept up in the words emes over here, and he's not supposed to say it twice. You only say it at this point once, because as we're saying, there's only one emes, there's only one truth, and that is Hashem. Am Rav Yosef, Kama ma'alya ha'shmaitza. How wonderful is this shmaitza? Is this statement that we're about to say? The Chi'asa Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda, when Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda came from Eretz Yisrael to visit Bavel, Omar Arni b'marava arvis daber b'nei Yisrael v'amarta aleihem ani Hashem Elokeichem emes. So he said, in Eretz Yisrael we have a very interesting custom. If you look in the Shema, we know that there's 3 paragraphs of the Shema. The last paragraph is referring to the mitzvah of tzitzis. That's really the main thing that is being referred to over there. Is there a mitzvah to wear tzitzis at night? No, because it says, Urisem Oisa, you have to see them. So therefore, since at nighttime, we say that you can't see. So therefore, in halachically speaking, a person will not have to put on a pair of tzitzis at night. If you got dressed up to go out at night and you were not wearing tzitzis, and it's nighttime, Allah halacha, you would not have to put on your tzitzis. The custom is that if a person is going out at night, in general, they do, but maybe we'll talk about that later. Anyway, the bottom line is, in Eretz Yisrael, they said, since you don't wear your tzitzis at night, so there's really no reason for us to say this entire paragraph of the tzitzis. So in Eretz Yisrael, they had a very interesting custom. The nighttime Shema did not sound like our Shema. The nighttime Shema was the first and second of the paragraphs, and in the third paragraph, they would say only the following. They would say, Daber el b'nei Yisrael. They would say that first line. Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'amarta aleim, and say the following to them. Then they would skip everything until they would get to the end. Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes. Okay. Amalei Abaye my mal yusa. What's so great about this statement that you're bringing from Eretz Yisrael? V'amarav kahana amarav lo yaschil. Don't start saying something that you're never going to finish. If you started saying this paragraph, this Shema, you got to finish it, and you're telling us over here that in Eretz Yisrael they start and they don't finish. And if you want to say that when you say the words in this Shema, that's not considered aschal, it's not considered to be starting off the paragraph. When you say the words daber el b'nei Yisrael, that's not aschala. But the words amarta aleim already is aschala, is the beginning. So Amarav Papa Kisavi b'marava. That's what they hold in Marav in Eretz Yisrael. They also hold that when you say the words V'amarta aleim and say unto them, that's also not considered the beginning. Since that paragraph is speaking about putting on tzitzis, until you say the words V'asulam tzitzis, make for yourself tzitzis, you have not yet really begun the last paragraph. And therefore, you can't ask a question on the custom that they have in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, they say over these first words, and then they skip all the way to the end. You're asking us, but you started the paragraph. How could you not finish it? So in Eretz Yisrael, they said, we didn't start the paragraph. The paragraph's point is tzitzis. If we didn't yet mention the word tzitzis, so then we haven't really started, and therefore, it's not a contradiction. So Amar Abaye, Hilkach, therefore, Ananas chuli maschelinon, we hold, though, however, that once you start saying the words of this paragraph, you already did start. So even though that in Eretz Yisrael, they hold that you didn't yet start, we actually hold that once you start mentioning the words of this paragraph, you do start. And once that you do start the paragraph, then you have to finish it here in Bavel. That's the way that we paskin. That's the way that we hold. The Amarav Kahana, Amarav, Lo Yaschil, like we said, don't start. You don't have to start. But in Hischil, if you do start saying a paragraph, Goymer, you have to finish off. Chibarav, Amar, Amarani Hashem Elokeichem. Tzarech Loymar Emes. Yeah, over here it says Ani Hashem Elokeichem. So the Gemara says Ani Hashem Elokeichem Tzarech Loymar Emes, and you have to say the words Emes. Loy Amar Ani Hashem Elokeichem Einoi Tzarech Loymar Emes. But if you don't say the words Ani Hashem Elokeichem, then Einoi Tzarech Loymar Emes. You don't have to say the words Emes. Vayboilad Chure Yitzias Mitzrayim. But you got to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim in your Shema over here. So you know what he said, like the following: skip out the whole paragraph over here of tzitzis because we're not going to say it. And so good. So you don't say emes and you don't say Elokeichem. Fine, you're going to leave that out for whatever reason it is. But still, one of the other things that we talk about in this paragraph of tzitzis is Yitzias Mitzrayim, is the exodus from Egypt. Mm-hmm. So then how are you going to get away from mentioning the exodus of Egypt? So the Gemara says, very interesting over here, it says, no problem. It says like this, you have to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim. So we know what you should say. We have a new words that you're going to say, at the end of the Shema. Instead of saying this paragraph that's talking about tzitzis, because we don't wear tzitzis, so we'll say like this: Moedim anachnu l'cha Hashem. We admit, we praise you, Hashem Elokeinu. She'otziasanu me'eretz Mitzrayim. You took us out of Egypt. Upedisanu mibeis avodah, and you redeemed us from house of bondage. Ve'asisa lanu nisim ugvuros, and you made many miracles and great wonders. Alayam on the sea. V'shanu l'cha, and we will sing to you. And then Rashi points out over here. Then what do? Then you go into the rest of the what do you call it? The rest of the davening over here, Mi kamocha be'elim Hashem, and then you continue over there. So he's saying that you're right. You have to mention Yetzias Mitzrayim. So, but what are we going to do over here? Because we didn't say this last paragraph. So we'll give you some new words. Say those words instead. Mention Yetzias Mitzrayim, and then you will fulfill your obligation of mentioning the exodus from Egypt at the end of the Shema. Which is just a very interesting thing, because we're not saying the final paragraph because that talks about tzitzis, but it also talks about Yetzias Mitzrayim. So you don't have to start it, and you don't have to say it, but you still have to mention Yetzias Mitzrayim. The Gemara says, so then we'll give you some new words that you're going to say instead. Okay, Amar Yeshua ben Korcha, Lama Kadma Parshas Shema. Now you recall that we had in the Mishnah pointed out to us that the paragraphs in the Shema, the way that we say them, are not in the order in which they are brought down in the Chumash. So the Gemara said, so why then are they out of order? Why does Shema come first? And we said the reason is because when Makambal Omal Shemayim, first we accept upon ourselves the yoke of heaven, and then we can accept upon ourselves the yoke of the mitzvahs. Right? That's what we said in the Mishnah. Now the Gemara has some other reasons why it is that the Shema is in the order, the order that it is. Says the Gemara like this. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha, Lama Kadmi Parsha Shema. Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha said the reason is because of the Mekabel Omach Shemayim, accepting the yoke of heaven. Tanya Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Omer, B'dinhu sheyaktim Shema levahayim Shemaya. Reality is that even without the reason the Mishnah is giving, Shema should come before the second paragraph of the Shema v'hayim Shemaya. Why? Shezel lilmoid, because the first paragraph of Shema is teaching us you have to learn Torah. As it says over there, V'dibartem bam, you should speak about them, you should learn Torah. V'zen, the second paragraph of Shema is lalamed, is to teach the words of Torah. Like it says, V'limadatem oisam es benechem, teach them over to your sons. So Rashi says, Im loy lamed techila, if you don't learn Torah first, heich yelamed es banav, how are you going to teach your children? So therefore Rav Shimon bar Yochai is saying over here is that what Rav Shimon bar Yochai is saying, that first the Shema comes because it teaches you have to learn, and once you learn, then you'll be able to give it over to your children. It's very interesting. Rav Shimon bar Yochai is the one who says that the Torah is never going to be forgotten from the offspring of Klal Yisrael, and that's really what it's saying over here. Torah itself is never going to be forgotten from your children if you learn yourself and then you're able to give it over to them. So, okay, so he says like this. Shema l'vayim shemaya, shezel liyom v'zel l'lamed. Vayim shemaya l'v'yomer, and then it makes sense that the second paragraph comes before the last paragraph of Vayomer. Why? Shezel liyom, because because the second paragraph teaches you have to learn. The last paragraph of Shema teaches us lases, teaches you have to do the mitzvahs. As it says, because it says over there in the final paragraph, it starts talking about putting on tefillin and all the different things that a person is going to have to do. So it makes sense. The first paragraph is telling us you have to learn. The second paragraph is telling us then you have to teach. And the third paragraph is telling us what's the point of learning and teaching? That you perform the mitzvahs. So therefore it all makes very good sense, says the Gemara. However, the Gemara says the following. Ayim Shema Atu Shema Lilmoid Isbei Lalamid Velases Lesbei. You're telling me that in the first paragraph of the Shema, all that it talks about is Lilmoid is learning, but it doesn't refer to teaching and to keeping the mitzvahs? How could that be? V'aksiv, it says V'shinantam. It says V'shinantam Lanecha, teach them over to your children. Ukshartam uksavdam, you should bind them on your arm as tefillin. Uksavdam, you should write them as mezuzah on your doorposts. So the whole first paragraph itself has all three things included. It has included in their learning, has in their teaching, and has in their doing. So why are you telling me that we have this different order of paragraphs because that's the way that it works out best. The first paragraph itself has everything. Says the Gemara, V'su v'hayim shemaya, and the second one, v'hayim shemaya, also l'lamed hu the east bay v'lasais less bay. You tell me that it only tells you about teaching, but it doesn't have keeping the mitzvahs. V'aksiv, it says in the second paragraph, ukshartem uksavtem, it says wrap the tefillin and write mezuzahs. So therefore, we have in the first one has all three, the second one has two, and the last one only has the actual performance of the mitzvahs itself. So I'm not exactly sure what the Gemara is asking over here, because the Gemara said the reason why we have the order the way that we do is because the Shema is talking about learning, and the second one is talking about teaching, and the last one is talking about doing. Now the Gemara is saying, why would you say that? The first one has all three inside of there. Okay, so the first one has all three. The second one only has two, and the last one only has one. So maybe the Gemara is just bothered over here that why are you saying that the first one only has learning when it really has all three? Why are you telling me the second one only has teaching when it really has teaching and performing of the mitzvahs? So that's also the reason why the order is the way that it is. The first one has all three, the second one has two, and the third one only has one. Okay, so the Gemara says, I'm sorry, I lost my place. Halasois leis bei v'aksiv v'shinantam v'kshartam v'ksatam v'su v'hayim shamay l'lamed hu the east bay v'lasois leis bei v'aksiv v'kshartam v'ksatam Elohachi kamer. This is what it means to say. Bedinhu, it just makes sense. Shetikdim shema l'v'hayim shamaya shezel lilmoid u'lelamed v'lasois. Really, I think the Gemara is answering what's bothering me over here. And the Gemara is saying, bedinhu, it's logical sense that the first verse of Shema is going to come because it's learning, it's teaching, and it's performing. V'hayim shemaya, and the second one is going to come because Levayomer shezeh yesh ba l'lamed v'laseis, because the second one is talking about teaching and performing. Vayomer ein ba l'laseis bavad, and the last one only has laseis, only has the mitzvah of performing. So the Gemara seems to be saying the following. Originally, we thought the pshat was that it goes in order of what you can do. First, you have to learn, then you have to teach, and then you're going to perform. So that's why it's a natural order. Now the Gemara is saying, no, that's not the real reason why it's in that order. The first one is like a super paragraph because it has all three. You're learning, you're teaching, and you're performing. The second one also has a mile over the third one because you're teaching and you're performing. And the last one only has one of these aspects, which is the performance. So why don't we learn out from Yeshua ben Korcha? Now remember, what did Rabbi Shua ben Korcha say? Yeah, what did Rabbi Shua ben Korcha say? Anyone? We didn't know yet. Says Rabbi Shua ben Korcha, Chadav oid kamar. So he wants to say, again, Rabbi Shua ben Korcha said in our Mishnah that the reason why we're saying the Shema is because you have to accept upon yourself the yoke of heaven. So what's the problem with just saying that? So why are you bringing down this other thing? So the Gemara says, Chada v'oid kamar. It's one and something else that we want to say. Chada kadesh yikabel lavo malchus. I'm not arguing on the fact that you're going to accept upon yourself the yoke of Shemayim. That's one of the reasons why we say Shema. First, why it comes to Techila. And afterwards, you're going to accept upon yourself the yoke of mitzvahs. V'oid, furthermore, mishum de'is ba'ani milah achminaisa. And furthermore, the reason why we're going to say what we say, why the order of the paragraphs are the way that they are, is because of this Gemara that we just had. Learning, teaching, and keeping, and then teaching and performance, and the last one, the performance of the mitzvahs. Rav Mashi Yadei Vikar Kriyishma. Rav washed his hands in the morning. Vikar Kriyishma, and then he read the Kriyishma, and then after that, V'anach Tefillin. Then he would put on Tefillin, and after that, V'tzali. Then he would daven. So again, Rav woke up in the morning, he washed his hands, he read Kriyishma, he put on Tefillin, and then he davened Shmoneh Esrei. Now, we're going to assume in there also that before Rav ended up saying Kriya Shema and doing anything else, of course, he must have been saying that he said Berachos Torah, because we know you can't really start the day until you say the blessing of the Torah. The Gemara asks, Ve'hechi oven hachi. How did Rav do this? Ve'atanya, we learn, Ha'chayfer kuch lemeis bikever, if a person is digging a grave. Pater Kriya Shema, he is exempt from reciting the Kriya Shema. Uminat Tefillah, and he's exempt from davening Shmoneh Esrei. Uminat Tefillin, he's also exempt from putting on Tefillin, because as we know that that we just had a concept previously. When you're involved in one mitzvah, you're exempt from doing another mitzvah. So if you're digging a grave, which is Levayis HaMeis, which is a mitzvah of burying the dead, that's a mitzvah. So therefore, Kriya Shema and davening Shemona Esrei and putting on tefillin, you're patur from. Umikol mitzvahs amoros b'Torah, any mitzvahs that mikol mitzvahs amoros b'Torah, you don't have to keep. What you don't have to do when you're doing another mitzvah. Higias man Kriya Shema. However, when the time of Kriya Shema comes oila v'notel yodav, you get up from digging, v'notel yodav, and you wash your hands, umaniach tefillin, and then you put on tefillin, v'kor Kriya Shema, and then you say Kriya Shema, umispalo, and then you daven Shemona Esrei. So we see already that when the time of Kriya Shema comes, however, what should a person do? Then he should, says the Gemara, a few simple steps over here, which is going to be a contradiction to what we said previously. Number one is you wash your hands. Number two, you put on tefillin. Now remember, the story with Rav over here was that he washed his hands, and then he said Kriya Shema. And then after you put on tefillin, then you say Kriya Shema, and after Kriya Shema, then you daven Shemona Esrei. So the problem going to be over here is that on Rav, first daven Kriya Shema, and then he put on his tefillin afterwards. And over here we're saying that the order is first you put on your tefillin, and then you're going to say Kriya Shema. We'll see why that is. So you want to ask me a question from this story to the case of Rav? Hagufa kasha. This case itself is a question on in and of itself. Reisha Omar, in the beginning it said while you're digging potter, you're exempt from doing any other mitzvahs. You don't have to say Kriya Shema. And Seif at the end of this story it's saying Chayiv. You have to say the Kriya Shema. So which one is it? Do you have to say the Kriya Shema or not Kriya Shema? And if it wasn't the time you had to say the Kriya Shema in the beginning, so then of course you don't have to say Kriya Shema. And now you're telling me, no, now it's the time. But if it was not the time, so then it's not a chiddush that he wasn't saying Kriya Shema before. So the Gemara says, Lo kasha. Lo kasha, it's not a question. Seifa betray. At the seifa of that brisa, where it said that, now there's man of Kriya Shema, you have to get up, that's talking about when there's two people that are there. V'reisha b'chad, and the reisha, the first part of that brisa, when we said that you're exempt from Kriya Shema, that's when there's only one person that is there. So what is the difference between one and between two? So Rashi writes over here, the difference is the following. And that is, if there's two people there that are digging the grave, you leave one guy there to keep digging, and the other guy goes up, then he does Kriya Shema, puts on his tefillin, and he davens, and he goes back then to the work of digging the grave, and then the other guy goes up, and he goes and he puts on tefillin, says Kriya Shema, and he davens. So, but if it's one person, he can't leave the mitzvah of digging the grave over here because they need it. So two people could, one person cannot. Mikol Malkum Kasha LeRav. We still have a question to Rav because Rav said Rav's case was he woke up, he washed his hands, he said Kriya Shema, he davened Shemona Esrei, and then he put on his tefillin. So why did he put on his tefillin last? Kerebi Yoshua ben Korcha Svirle. Rav Kerebi Yoshua ben Korcha Svirle. Who was like Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha, the Amar, who says, Oh, Malchus Shemaim Techila. First, you accept upon yourself the yoke of heaven, the Acher Kach all mitzvahs, and afterwards you accept upon yourself the yoke of mitzvahs. So that means you say Kriya Shema first, and then you do tefillin. Imar, the Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha, La'akdim Kriya LeKriya, Kriya La'asiya Mishamasle. Even though that you want to say Kriya Shema ben Korcha. I understand that the way you taught us had the order of the paragraphs in the Shema, that I can put the Shema first because that's accepting the yoke of heaven. And the second one is accepting the yoke of mitzvahs. That I understand. But when it comes to reading and the performance of mitzvahs, who says that Rabbi Shua ben Korcha would put one before the other? Which means that even though that you hold in the reading of the Shema, first you mention the acceptance of the heaven, and then you mention the acceptance of the mitzvahs, but in the lamaisa, the actual act of performance, who says that you would say Shema to accept the yoke of heaven before you would actually perform the mitzvahs? It would make more sense that you perform, the Gemara seems to be saying over here, that you should perform the mitzvahs, that even Rabbi Shua ben Korcha would say, you're right, if there's an opinion that you put on tefillin before you say Shema, for the reason that we're going to see, then even he should hold that you're going to put on the tefillin before. So the Gemara says, V'chi tema. Pirkin. Rabbi Chia Barashi's. Oh, sorry. Yeah, skipped again. V'amar. Yeah, v'amar. Yeah, v'amar Rabbi Chia. Is that where we are?
No,
Oh yeah, fine. So lahaktim kriya asiyah mishamas. Does Rabbi Shua ben Korcha really hold that you're going to say Shema before you end up doing the mitzvah of tefillin? V'su. Furthermore, mi savalek Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha. Who holds like Rav Shua ben Korcha? V'amar Rav Chia Barashi zimnin sagir and hava ka'amina kamei the Rav. There are times that I came before Rav. Umakdim, umashi yadei, umavarech, and he would get up, umashi yadei, wash his hands, umavarech, and make a bracha, which is birchas HaTorah, umasni lon, and then he would learn, pirkin, he would learn Torah, umanach tefillin, and then he would put on tefillin, v'hadakar kriya shema, and then he would do the kriya shema. V'chi tema b'delay matas man kriya shema, if you want to say. The reason that Rav did not say kriya shema earlier, then everything else that he did was because it was not yet the time to read the Shema. Im kein mai asadise. So then what's the proof you're trying to bring us over here? That you see the order of the way in which he said brachas and he didn't say Kriya Shema till afterwards. But it wasn't this time of Kriya Shema, so that's no proof that you put on tefillin before you say Kriya Shema. So ma asadise say the Rav Chia Bar Ashi la'afuki miman de'omar le'mishna ein tzarich levarach. In Achinami, you know what? You're right over here. It really was that it wasn't the time of Kriya Shema yet, and I don't really have such a good proof over here that tefillin comes before Kriya Shema. However, we did have an opinion before that said that you do not have to say Birchas HaTorah when you're going to recite when you're going to say Mishnah. And over here, you see that Rav held that no, when you're going to learn Mishnah, you do have to say the Birchas HaTorah, you have to say the blessing of the Torah, and that's Kamashma, and that's what we want to learn over here. The Afla Mishnah, not mitzarech levarach, even when it comes to Mishnah, you have to make a bracha first. Mikol Mokoim, Kasha LeRav. So Rav, we still have a question on Rav, because Rav ended up saying what? That he washed his hands. He said Kriya Shema, he davened Shemona Esrei, and then he put on his tefillin. Why didn't he put on his tefillin before Kriya Shema? Again, the Gemara in a moment is going to tell us why you have to have your tefillin on by the time of Kriya Shema. So the Gemara answers, Shluchahu da Avisa. It's his shliach, the messenger, that was carrying the tefillin of Rav and bringing it to him. He ruined the entire order over here. He came late. Rav had his tefillin at home. He sent his messenger, go bring him my tefillin before I daven. And it was already time to say the Kriya Shema, and he's got to say Kriya Shema at the right time. The messenger's not back yet with his tefillin. He says, what can I do? I have no choice. I have to say it. So says the Gemara, that's the reason why it didn't work out over here. He made it that he went out of order. But really, the way that it should be is that the person should first put on the tefillin, and then they should say Kriya Shema, as the Gemara is about to say right now. And the Gemara says, Amar Ula, Kol Achar Kriya Shema B'lei Tefillin. Anyone who reads the Shema without having tefillin on them, it's as if they are testifying falsely bi'atzmo against him or about themselves. So there's a machlekes in the Rishonim. What does it mean? Are you testifying falsely about him, about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or testifying falsely about yourself? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that is saying in the tefillin that I'm HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I do everything, and I take care of you, and I took you out of Mitzrayim, and I'm the Melech over the world. And now you're saying Kriya Shema, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not on your head. So it's as if you're testifying falsely about Hashem. The other way to learn it is that you're testifying falsely about yourself. You're saying Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, I'm accepting the yoke of heaven on myself. Are you really? Tefillin itself is indicative of the yoke of heaven that you are accepting upon yourself, and you're not wearing it at the time of Kriya Shema. Therefore, a person should not do such a thing. They should make sure that they have the tefillin on when they're saying Shema. A person who says a Shema without wearing his tefillin is like a person who brings an oila, a sacrifice, below mincha without the flour offering that comes along with it. Or the zevach is like bringing another type of a sacrifice below nisachim without bringing the wine libations together, which means the oila offering goes hand in hand with the mincha, with the flour offering, and the zevach and this other korban goes hand in hand with the nisachim, with the wine libations. One without the other is a chisor, it's a lacking in the performance of the mitzvah itself, and therefore, says the Gemara, if you say Shema without your tefillin on your head, so it's a lacking in the acceptance of the Omach Hashemayim, of accepting the yoke of heaven. Rabbi Yochanan, we're almost finished over here. Rabbi Yochanan, A person wants to accept upon themselves completely the yoke of heaven in the morning. So what should they do? Daf Tefs Vav over here. Yipane, they should go to the restroom, relieve themselves. Vayitol Yadav, wash their hands. V'yanich tefillin, put on their tefillin. Vayikra Kriya Shema, read the Shema. V'yispala, and then daven. And then they say Shemona Esrei. V'zuhi malchus shemayim shleima. This is called complete acceptance of the yoke of heaven. So Amar Rav Chia bar Abba, Amar Rav Yochanan, kol hanifne v'noitel yadav v'maniach tefillin v'kor Kriya Shema u'mispalel ma'ala lav hakasav. Says Hashem, if you do something like, if you do it in this way, I will view you as if hakasav kilu bana mizbech, as if you built an altar, v'hikra v'lav korban, and you brought a korban, you brought a sacrifice onto the altar. Not a bad deal. All you have to do in the morning is this, and you fulfill the obligation of accepting upon yourself the yoke of heaven. The restroom, wash your hands, put on tefillin, say Shema, and daven, and that's it. You built a mizbeach, an altar, and you brought a korban on it. The Chsiv, how do we know? Because it says erchatz b'nikoyin kapai, I will wash my hands in cleanliness, and I will surround your altar. Mizbecha Hashem, and I will surround Hashem's altar. So Amalei Rava, so what does that mean? Amalei Rava, loisavar lamar ki'ilu taval. Does Mar hold that when a person ends up doing all these things, it's as if he was toivel in the mikvah? Because it says erchatz b'nikoyin, it says I will wash b'nikoyin, in cleanliness my hands. V'loi kosiv architz kapai, I wash only my hands. So erchatz b'nikoyin means a more general washing, a more ritual type of a washing. That's how the Gemara is learning out over here. And therefore it's ki'ilu, it's as if when you do these things, it's as if you're going to the mikvah, it's as if you're purifying yourself, and therefore you're accepting the yoke of heaven upon yourself in the right way. Amalei Ravina l'Rava Chazimar Haitzov Mirabanan the Asim Rava. So Ravina said to Rava, I saw a Talmud Chacham who came from Eretz Yisrael. Ve'amar Mishein Lo Mayim Lichotz Yadav Mechaneich Yadav Bi'afar. And he said, someone who doesn't have water to wash his hands before davening or before Shema, will have to see. He should wipe his hands on dirt, ubitzvor, on rocks, ubikisamis, or on pieces of wood, because even though you don't have water to cleanse your hands, but these particular materials are considered to be cleaning your hands ritually for the sake of prayer. Amalei shaber kamar. You said very good. Miksiv erchatz b'mayim b'nikayin, because it says you have to wash with water to be clean. No, ksiv kol. It says it's ksiv kol. It says erchatz. It says erchatz b'nikayin. It doesn't say you have to wash your hands with water before you daven. It just says you have to wash in cleanliness. So what does it mean in cleanliness? Even without water. So therefore you can wipe your hands on these things as well. Midi the ksiv b'nikayin ksiv kol midi the menake. Yeah, anything that cleans, that rubs off the dirt, the perspiration, so whatever that is, that's going to work instead of even water. The Rav Chizda, layet aman the mahada amaya be'iden slusa. So Rav Chizda himself, we bring a proof over here. Rav Chizda would get very upset with a person when it was time to daven, and he would go start looking and searching around for water. It bothered him. V'hani mili l'krishma. That's talking about when did Rav Chizda get upset with the person who was searching around for water to wash his hands? That's when the time of Krishma came, and we know that there's a short window of time to say it in the right way. And this guy now is the opportune time to say it, and he's looking for water. Why are you looking for water? You could wipe your hands on wood, you could wipe your hands on a rock, you could wipe your hands on the ofar, on the dirt, and that's good enough. Say the Shema at the right time. Aval tefillah, but when it comes to davening, which has a much longer time that a person is allowed to daven in the morning, mahadir, then you're supposed to go and look for the water. Vadkama, how far do you have to actually go and look and search for water to wash your hands? Ad parsa, you have to go while you're walking along the way. Vani mila l'chamei, aval liachure, yeah. Fine. So says the Gemara. So how far do you have to go to find water? You have to go up until a parsa. What is a parsa? So a parsa is 4 mil. or which is also 8,000 amos, which is also approximately 2.5 miles. So if you're walking along the way, and it's time to daven, and there's no water around, you got to keep walking with up until if you believe that within 2.5 miles there's going to be water that you're going to find, then you have to keep walking and wash your hands before you daven. However, if you're certain that there's not going to be water, you're in the middle of the desert, and there's not going to be water anyway, then you can just rub your hands and you don't have to. Says the Gemara, Vahani, immediately this that we said up until a parsa, 2.5 miles, that's the kamei. That's what's in front of you. But behind you, which means you're walking straight. To go back to get water, we're not going to make you go back that far. Afilu mil eno chayzer, even 1 mil, which is just 2,000 amos, which is between 3 to 4,000 feet, even that much, you're not going to have to go back. Who the eno? So mil, who the eno chayzer? So a mil, you don't have to go. Umina. From here we learn mil, 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet, whatever it is, you don't have to go back. However, the eno chayzer hapachas mimil, but less than 3,000 feet, chayzer, you would have to go back if you think that water is waiting for you behind you. Okay, we finished the Mishnah. Tomorrow morning, remember, Shabbos, learning is 7:30 to 8:30. Be'ez Hashem.
So we're in Daf 15?